Good evening, everyone. This is your evening news recap, your nightly news podcast on all the news that I come across throughout the day, giving you my take as somebody who aspires to be a politician in the near future. Hopefully, all you guys are doing wonderful. Hopefully, all you guys are doing well. Today is October 8th, and it is Wednesday. It's been a pretty interesting day in the news world, that is for sure. But hopefully, all you guys are doing wonderful. We are joined here by the very wonderful Ducky. He is staying out of the camera now, but he's sitting right here. This is my roommate's cat, not my cat. But he's been hanging out, and he didn't get in frame at all. But it's okay. There's his tail. Hopefully all you guys are doing wonderful. It's been a pretty interesting day in the news world. But if you're new here, please consider subscribing. All the support would be greatly appreciated as we are trying to hit 500 subscribers by the end of the year. I believe we can do it without a doubt. So if you're new here, please consider subscribing. And if you're on Substack, please also consider subscribing. All funds go to me. That help me pay for the things that I need to pay for in college, like food, like clothing, like all of that. But if not, you can always subscribe for free. I truly do appreciate all forms of support on this content. And with that being said, let's get into the news from today. Moving on into the Trump administration segment, as we do, the first topic we have today is Trump is demanding the arrest of Governor J.B. Pritzker and Chicago Mayor Johnson. Trump is demanding the arrest of Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker and Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson. Once again, he took to Truth Social in a short post saying, Chicago Mayor should be in jail for failing to protect ICE officers. Governor Pritzker also essentially calling for them both to be imprisoned for not following his political rhetoric. ICE officers are the people who, without a doubt, deserve the least amount of protection in this country. They continue to fight and harm immigrant communities and American citizens, which is inexcusable. Genuinely, it really is. ICE receives more funding than some countries' militaries, which is insane, but it is the truth. That is a fact. They receive more funding than some countries' militaries, yet they still suck at their job. There is no reason for them to need protection because they should be able to do that themselves, especially when they receive more funding than some of the world's militaries. It is genuinely insane that that is the case, and it's also insane that they are whining about needing protection. You should be able to do that yourselves. In other news, Stephen Miller has claimed that Trump has plenary authority. In an interview, Stephen Miller claimed that Trump has plenary authority. I believe that's how you pronounced it. I tried to look it up, and that's what it told me. So, to deploy the National Guard, speaking on CNN, Miller said the president has plenary authority. He would then pretend to glitch out in his video and stop talking entirely. But why? For those who don't know, plenary authority is the power that is complete, absolute, and wide-ranging in a particular area with no limitations or outside review. Essentially, to put it in simple terms, that's what a dictatorship is, which is a crazy thing for the White House Deputy Chief of Staff to claim, is it not? I mean, I cannot wait to read the comments on this one. It's going to be great. But time and time again, I have said that this administration is a fascist dictatorship. And here we are with good old Stephen Miller confirming that himself. Isn't that nice? Isn't it wonderful? Not really. Will MAGA care about this? Absolutely not. They're going to continue to say it's bullshit and it's not happening when it's in front of our very eyes. I mean, he went on national television and said this. But at least I can say to them, I told you so. I find it hilarious that he very obviously pretended to glitch out in this interview. He knew that he shouldn't have said that in any way, shape, or form because it's a bad look for the administration, for one, but it's also going to come back to bite him. And it's too late for that now, which is great. I'm sure it's going to just be ignored anyways by media outlets, especially on the right, but not by me. It's something that I'm going to continuously bring up because people within the Trump administration should not be saying things like this in any way, shape, or form. Could you imagine if someone in the Biden administration said something like this? It would be a massive problem. In other news, the White House is having more conversations about going through with the Insurrection Act. The White House officials are holding increasingly serious conversations about invoking the Insurrection Act, according to NBC, which would give Trump the power to deploy active troops throughout the country. This is not expected to be imminent, according to a senior official, but it is a huge topic of discussion right now by the current administration, which would be a huge escalation after the deployment of the National Guard throughout the country, which already is not supported by a majority of Americans, as according to a poll from CBS, 58% of Americans oppose the deployment of the National Guard, and I'm sure this would not be well liked either. There is a growing belief in me that if this administration attempts to use the Insurrection Act, the military will just say no. After what we saw with the whole Pete Hegseth speech, and what we've seen from the National Guard really as a whole throughout these cities, I honestly think that if they try to do something like invoking the Insurrection Act, it's not going to happen. The military is going to flat out say no. The military did the same in 2016 on multiple occasions when they rejected suggestions from Trump. And honestly, I wouldn't be shocked, and I really hope that they reject him again, because, just judging by the crowd of that Pete Hegseth speech, it is very clear that they are not well liked and that the military does not have faith in them. So I really hope, at the very least, that we see a good amount of military generals and a good amount of troops say no outright and just say absolutely not. In other news, Trump claimed himself that he took away freedom of speech. Trump said in the Oval Office today that his administration took freedom of speech away when it comes to flag burning, something the Supreme Court has ruled is protected under the First Amendment. Trump said, "We took freedom of speech away because that's been through the courts, and the courts said you have freedom of speech. But what has happened is when they burn the flag, it agitates and irritates crowds. I've never seen anything like it on both sides, and you end up with riots." For the president to admit that he has taken away freedom of speech is absolutely insane. At least he's admitting it, for one, but the president shouldn't even have to say that in the first place. As always, MAGA will defend this, just like they do everything else that the president does. But this is a conversation that needs to be had. We need to have the conversation to remove this administration in its entirety, because the things that they are saying on a daily basis and the things that they are going through with on a daily basis are absolutely insane and detrimental to this country. There is no way the President of the United States should be able to tell reporters that he has taken away freedom of speech. Genuinely, that's insane. And so many people wonder why I say protect freedom of speech. The president is out here claiming that he is taking that away himself. This administration continuously breaks laws, continuously defies the Constitution, left and right. It needs to stop, and they need to be shut down, because there is no way that the president should be able to go out there and say that he is taking away freedom of speech. That's fucked up on so many levels. And if you don't see that, I don't know what to tell you. Moving on into our other news segment today, Jane Goodall's dying wish was for Musk, Trump, and Netanyahu to be sent on a space flight away from Earth. Before her death, Jane Goodall shared a wish to send Elon Musk, Trump, and Benjamin Netanyahu on a space flight off of Earth indefinitely. Goodall, who died unfortunately on last Wednesday, had a Netflix documentary released titled Famous Last Words, featuring an interview with her from March. In one part of the interview, she said to writer Brad Falchuk, "There are people I don't like, and I would like to put them on one of Musk's spaceships and send them off of the planets he's sure he's going to discover." She continued, "Along with Musk would be Trump and some of Trump's real supporters, and then I would put Putin on there, and then I would put President Xi Jinping on there, who's the president of China, of course, and I'd certainly put Netanyahu in there and his far-right government." What an absolute legend. Oh, how I wish all of the worst dictators and horrible people in the world would just get on a spaceship and fly away forever. Wouldn't that be nice? It would be so wonderful, truly. Unfortunately, it will never happen, but it is definitely a nice thing to think about. Goodall is truly a national treasure on, so many levels. And, I hope we see more people like her in science going forward, because that's what we need. We need people with more of a pure heart who actually care. The cat just knocked over a can. Anyways, we need people with a pure heart who actually care about the world and society and, and our planet as a whole. We are not taking very good care of our planet. And, Jane Goodall was a huge activist for that, which is, something that we need to do. We need to focus more about the planet. We need to care about climate change and so many other things. So it is truly unfortunate that we have lost a voice like that and an individual like that, genuinely. And I hope that we can see more people like that in science in the future and going forward, because it's such an important thing to not only take care of our planet, but, to help people on that planet and to help the animals on this planet, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for this planet existing. So it's important that we take care of it, genuinely. In other news, moving on into our final topic for tonight, Democrats have flipped a major Alaskan mayoral seats. Fairbanks, Alaska's Mayor David Pruse, a Republican, has lost to Mindy O'Neill, a Democrat, in the mayoral election on Tuesday. A shocking victory in the state, for a most part, that is completely red, essentially. O'Neill received 54% of the votes with 1,808. This is the first time in nearly a decade a Democrat has won a mayor in the city, and shows signs of a possible Democratic and House Senate seats to go towards the Democratic Party as well, or Republican House and Senate seats to go to the Democratic Party in 2026 during the midterms, which would be huge, as the state, was won by Trump in all three of his elections that he ran in. And the state has only had one Democratic senator and Democratic House member since 1981. Holy dyslexia, I'm sorry. And 1973, respectively. This is huge news and extremely unexpected. Now Alaska has heavily been negatively impacted by things like the Big Beautiful Bill and the things within that bill. But I didn't expect to see anything flipping within the state, honestly. I figured that would be a, majority MAGA state, and we weren't really going to see any signs of any flipping towards the Democratic side anytime soon. But that's not the case, and this is what we're seeing here. It would be crazy if we saw, a whole flip in Democrats compared to Republicans in Alaska. Seeing Alaska be a blue state for once would be absolutely insane. But I hope it happens, genuinely, because we need to bring significant change in this country, especially with the current administration. And historically, that would be just such an interesting thing. Could you imagine if, Trump is so bad that even Alaska decides to flip? That would be pretty crazy, in my opinion, at least. With that being said, though,